What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. First off, thank you so much for tuning in, for checking out the show. Your support is massively appreciated. The only reason that this show exists is because of all of your amazing support. So we truly appreciate your support. I truly appreciate your support. Make sure that you're sharing the show with as many people that you feel would benefit from the show. The goal is to always grow this show and go out there and have a big impact. Real quick though, before we jump into today's podcast, I want to plug our sponsors that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my real estate agent mentorship training program. It's a group training platform. This way it makes it extremely affordable for you. Inside this program, however, I am unpacking my entire playbook. I'm walking you through step by step everything that I do inside my real estate business, everything that I've done, everything I've learned in my 12 plus year career with selling over 5,000 homes, with selling over $1 billion in real estate. And I walk you through step by step exactly what I've done, how I built what I've built, and what I'm doing today to go out there and create the success. But don't mistake the low cost for low value. This is an insanely in-depth, step-by-step program where I'm walking you through, again, step-by-step on how I go out there. My team sells 1 to 2 homes every single day in today's market, continue to grow my business year after year, and how I've been able to exit from selling, exit from actually day-to-day involvement in my real estate team, and create an epic, amazing real estate team that not only sustains but grows without my involvement. So whatever level that you're at, whether you're a brand new real estate agent, you're an individual high-producing agent that wants to expand and create a team, or if you already have an amazing team, or you're a broker owner that's looking to step up your internal training, looking to step up your systems, your processes, your tracking, make your business more predictable, this program is absolutely for anybody that's serious about leveling up inside their business. So check us out, www.90daymastery.com. Make sure you use promo code LIVEMASTERY, all one word, all together, all caps. That's going to get you the biggest discount on 90daymastery.com. You're going to see tons of testimonials on their video testimonials, what's included in the program, the future dates of the program. I do several of these every single year, so make sure to check us out and make sure to jump inside that program ASAP. My next sponsor that makes this show possible is perfectstormnow.com. If you're a real estate agent and you are looking for a lead generation machine website backed by an insanely powerful CRM system that allows you to convert your leads to appointments at the highest possible level, manage all your tasks, make sure that you're effective and efficient as you possibly can be inside your business, transaction management component, all of that stuff. It is hands down by far the most effective and affordable real estate website and CRM program that exists out there in the industry. It's what I use to go out there and sell 650 plus homes every single year, and the system is gnarly. If you're signing up for that program, make sure to use promo code MASTERY, PSN, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you the $200 registration fee and get you a great discount. Our last sponsor is REO University. So I teamed up with a good buddy of mine who is the most knowledgeable dude, hands down, that I've ever met when it comes to REO properties. This guy used to work for the banks directly as an asset manager, and he developed so many of the systems that you see that asset managers and asset management firms and banks use today. This guy sold over 11,000 properties, foreclosure properties, as an asset manager. And he and I teamed up with my experience of working with over 35 banks in my career, selling thousands of REOs, plus his experience. We've created just an insane program. Again, REO University, the website is www.REO Mastery University. It's a one-time payment for $997, or you can split that up into 3 monthly payments. This is not a live boot camp like my 90 Day Mastery Boot Camp. This is something that you have access to instantaneously. We'll walk you through exactly how to go out there and get in with the banks. So how to get the business, but then how to service that business at the highest level, how to go out there and complete BPOs, how to complete cash for keys, how to make sure that you're insane at your valuations, how to go out there and make sure that your asset managers are winning and hitting their goals, key indicators you need to look for, and more. There's 22 in-depth, just amazing, powerful modules that will teach you how to become an REO machine inside your real estate business. Now, if you're like me, I don't want my business to ever be in a vulnerable position, right? I don't care if it's a good market, bad market. It doesn't mean that my business needs to be good or bad. My business can always be great. During a market crash, right? There's no such thing as if the market's going to crash. It's just a matter of when, right? But again, you don't need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. You can make sure that your real estate business is 100% recession proof, and go out there and, of course, generate business, do a ton of business regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. And this is exactly how you go out there and do it. And we walk you through step by step. So check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. You can learn more about the program, hopefully register for the program, jump on in. This price will not last long, right? We just created this product, rolled it out several months ago, and just getting in the hands of the consumer, and people are having a lot of amazing success. So again, check us out, reomasteryuniversity.com. All right, again, you guys, thank you so much for watching this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to share the show. Make sure to comment. Like us on YouTube. Leave some positive comments. We love hearing back from you guys, and love getting your feedback. Keep kicking ass, and let's jump on into today's interview. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and just strip top badasses out there dominating their spaces. They're people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, for their families, as well as have a big impact on others. So today, you guys got another special, awesome, amazing guest on the show. Our guest today, you guys, is a professional skier. Also a very successful entrepreneur at the young age, right? 27-year-old, just a dude out there kicking ass and doing big things. But that's also had a pretty intriguing journey that's led him to this path. So really stoked and honored to have Scot Chrisman on the show, my friend.
How's it going, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked, dude. I'm stoked, dude. So I before we get into what you're doing today, man, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here. So like today, I know that you're running a successful coaching academy as well as being a professional skier. You've got your own podcast. So you're a busy cat. You're doing a lot of big things. But like I said, man, I'm always intrigued in that backstory that got you to where you are. So if we rewind those clocks, and for some that looks like elementary school, whatever, like what led you down to this path?
Yeah, man. So I'll take it back all the way. I started skiing at the age of 2, which I don't even remember learning how to ski. I think I ski better than I walk, which I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have been taught that at that young age by my parents. Incredibly lucky. And I started ski racing at the age of 6. By the time I was 11, I was sponsored. At the age of 13, I was ranked in the top 3 in the nation for my age in 2 events. And from there, it was like everyone pretty much was telling me that I was going to be on the US ski team if I kept on this path. And so I kept on that path. I moved out to Salt Lake City, went to a ski academy for high school for the last 2 years of high school, didn't start putting on weight. So in ski racing, you need mass to go fast. So to overcome that friction, that air resistance. So I was still crushing it. I was still skiing really well, but I wasn't getting the results that I needed to make it to the US ski team. I was really close, but just didn't quite make it. That took me down a pretty dark path because I had this identity of being a professional skier and a ski racer, of who I was going to be for a long time. I diverted off that path and went down a pretty dark road. I ended up getting, used to the party scene, getting into the party scene, doing drugs, selling drugs, being just an overall jackass, to be honest. And, that lasted a couple years. I was severely depressed, just wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing in life. And realized that skiing was what brought me passion and was the thing that I really wanted to do, and that there were other ways to do it besides ski racing. So I came back in, I went to the University of Denver for a year and a half, and that was kind of like this in between time purgatory for me sort of thing. And I realized, there's this little hill there called Ruby Park, which has like a couple rails in it. And I was out there pretty much every day, not going to class, and realized like I was doing some of the tricks in a couple days of being back on skis. I was doing some of the tricks that some of the pros were doing in the movies on rails. So I was like, I can do this. Hop back into skiing, decided to go into the big mountain competition scene, and at my first competition, made it through the qualifier, standing in the start gate. The two people before me were top name pros. The person behind me was a top name pro. And, I just kind of realized like, oh, this is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I don't think many people are as lucky to know where that home is or where that passion is. I feel so grateful for that. Fast forward, I lived in my car for a couple years in Montana, and basically was making the steps that I needed to take me where I wanted to go. Whatever sacrifice that it was, a couple of days I woke up, it was negative 27 degrees in my car, and I was struggling to move to turn my car on to get the heat going. So, doing everything that I possibly could, ended up moving to Crested Butte, and, I competed for several years. I was, top 5 in a couple events, competed in some slope style events down in Chile, random rail jams, was pretty successful, never won any events. And then a year and a half ago, I broke my back, and everything up until that point had been for me. I was doing it in self-interest because I wanted to have the spotlight. I wanted to have all this. And I was running in between jobs. I didn't have a helmet on. I always wear a helmet. My helmet was in my backpack, brought it with me. And I went head over heels into a tree and hit the tree where my helmet was in my backpack. So that ended up saving me from death or paralysis or injuring myself worse. So that was like the big step and big catalyst in realizing that I was being really selfish, that I had a higher purpose to help serve others, and that I had an ability to continue with my career, but that I could expand past just this self-centered vision of like, I'm gonna crush it on skis, I'm gonna crush it on skis. So that's where Academy of Skiing got brought in. And then a month and a half later, one of my best friends passed away speed flying. And that was, another stark contrast of like, hey, life is short. Like that easily could have been you if the circumstances were just a hair different. If you had been a quarter of a turn different in your flip when you hit the tree and that was your head, you'd have been done. So it was this huge, like, wow, like life is finite, life is fragile, and I need to make the most of it. And especially because my best friend can't anymore. So that's where the idea of Academy of Skiing got started. And I, for the next couple months, it was a very hard grieving process. I didn't really know what to do. I've lost lots of friends in the sport before. Nobody that I was that close to, and I was supposed to go see him 2 weeks later, and I had foregone the chance to see him a couple months before because I thought that I was guaranteed to see him again, and I wasn't. So I was angry. I felt like I deserved to see him. I felt like I deserved that time, and really it tore me apart. It was, it was really hard to deal with, and I was emotionally unstable. That kind of caused me to have a blowout with my ex-girlfriend, and I had this big shit moment where I was like, I have to change. I have to change the way that I'm living for Jordan, for the sake that I was spared, dying instead of, because of the helmet being where it was and everything. And so about a year and a month ago, I really turned on the jets, and I was like, no more drinking, no more drugs, no more anything. I am 100% dedicated to making myself a better person. And through that, I will help the universe and help the world, because I have a story to tell. Most people don't get to go through everything that I've gone through. And most people who have gone through it aren't lucky enough to still be able to make a career out of skiing. So that's where Academy of Skiing got started. That's where my personal growth journey got started. I hired a life coach for the next 6 months and was, making these weekly steps up the ladder to make myself a better person. And it was a slow start, but now a year later, if I were to look at that person, that person wouldn't even recognize who I am. Yeah. And so, that's a Spark Notes intro to how my life has gone up until this point. But yeah.
Now, do you think when you broke your back, now the revelation that you had at that time and the shifts and the changes that you made at that time, if you didn't have kind of that dark moment previously where you attach yourself to this identity and then went through and kind of did that personal work, like, do you feel that you were able to have the success that second time around because you already somewhat did it? You just kind of discovered that it was the wrong purpose that you set for yourself. I mean, do you feel like a big part of rediscovering your purpose the second time around was because you went through that previous dark moment?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like I had already developed the neural pathways or the automatic response to get better through adversity. Even, my first experience with it was like I was stuck in that, like, I don't know if you've read that poem before. It's like you walk down the street, you fall in the hole, you stay there, you blame everyone else, and then by the end of it, you walk down a different street. It's like 5 steps, basically. I'll find it and send it to you for the show notes. But basically, the first time I sat in that hole for a long time. This time I was like, I'm not going to sit in that hole for very long. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'll let myself feel these emotions. But yeah, I definitely, I was practiced in overcoming adversity. At the age of 13, I watched a girl that I had a crush on get hit by a snowmobile and pass away. And so, even from a young age, at that point, I was practiced at overcoming adversity. And so, yeah, like what would break most people, I think, makes me thrive, especially at this point. Throw anything at me, I will eat it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, dude. So then, I so many people in life, they go through that struggle of trying to identify what their purpose is or what their why is. And they might attach it to the wrong things, whether it's like you attached your identity to becoming, this professional skier on the U.S. ski team. And then when that didn't become a reality, it broke you, if you will. Right. And you had to redefine that. But you get people, whether it's a business or, is a professional athlete that then goes into retirement. Now they don't know how to define themselves, or even mothers, right? Like their whole entire, that span of time, that identity is, I'm here to be a mother for these kids. And all of a sudden their kids are grown and living their own lives. And then they're like, shit. And then they go through an element of depression because they don't know how to reestablish that new purpose. And now that you've done this twice, for a listener that's struggling with that, because I think that this is something that the vast majority of humanity struggles with, what's kind of some advice that you would give when you're trying to identify what your purpose is, to, number one, be able to do it, and number two, make sure that it's attached to the right purpose and not the wrong purpose?
Yeah, man. You'll need to do some experimentation. Failure is just an opportunity for growth. So sometimes you might find something that you think makes you happy for a short period of time. Like for me, when I first got away from ski racing, it was drugs. And I thought I was going to be some drug dealer, whatever. And obviously I found out pretty quickly that wasn't the right path. I think, from an outside perspective, that's pretty obvious, but there's going to be some trial and error. But, number one, find something that makes you smile. You may not find something always that you want to jump out of bed in the morning and do. Some days I don't want to jump out of bed and go skiing. Some days. Most days I do. But, find something that makes you smile. Find something that kind of gives you that internal intrinsic value, whether it's drawing, whether it's just speaking with friends, whether it's, finding group and community, something that can help you feel better as a person. And generally what I have found now that I've gone through this experience multiple times is giving to people and adding value to other people's lives is the best antidepressant. So if you can find a way to relate in community, that I think is like one of the number one things. And if you can find other people that relate to you and your specific journey, then you don't feel like you're alone. You have this me too. You have someone else that says, hey, I'm going through this as well. Let's talk about it. Let's hash it out and have those conversations and get vulnerable, because the more that you put up these walls around it, the more you're just going to isolate yourself. And I think that was my biggest boundary, was I kept putting up these walls and pretending that I wasn't vulnerable, wasn't depressed, wasn't all of these things. Like, I just hard-headedly wanted to say, oh, but this is still my purpose. And I think, people's purposes change throughout life. And it can go from wanting to be a professional skier and a professional racer to wanting to be a professional big mountain skier to now, wanting to be an entrepreneur, big mountain skier, speaker, writing a book, podcaster, and knowing that, no matter what, your voice has an impact in the world and is going to have an impact in the world. There's someone out there, multiple people out there are going through the same journey as you. So find those people and find that community, and you'll find something that inspires you.
Yep. Love it. Couldn't agree more. I mean, we see it happen over and over and over, where somebody might create massive financial success, but they're still massively unfulfilled, because Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. Like, you've got to have that vehicle. To go out there and maybe make your money and provide those opportunities, but then you have to have a plan for true fulfillment, a plan for contribution, right? And so you can feel that full fulfillment, if you will. So love it, man. Then from there, let's talk about your journey, because most of our listeners are entrepreneurs, right? And I think a lot of people, especially this day and age, want to get into, some type of product coaching or whatever it may be. I mean, the digital world just has opened up so many opportunities. It's like, whatever you're good at, maybe that's making your own beer in your bathtub, right? Or whatever the hell it is you're good at, right? Like, you can monetize on your hobbies, your passions. Maybe you're just on the side, love to go out there and shoot photography. Well, you can start teaching photography classes. Like, you can. So what has your journey been like as you've been building this academy? Because you went from being one of the best of the best, being a professional skier, which very few people ever hit that professional level, to now going out there and turning this into a business that you can go out there and teach and train other people. So walk us through. I mean, we get how the idea of academy for skiers, herb skiers, it came about, but walk us through the journey of, how it got started and what it was like and some of the obstacles that you had to overcome initially.
Yeah, man. I mean, the entrepreneurial journey is full of obstacles. It has been one of the hardest journeys I have ever gone on in my whole life. And I kind of thought, okay, I have this amazing idea. I see other people out there creating courses, coaching, doing all these things. It'll be easy. Let's go. Like, I can do this. And it was really easy to create my course structure. It was pretty easy to figure out, exactly what the market needed, in my opinion. I'm still figuring that out, turns out. But in the beginning, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what the market needs. Like, this is going to be easy. And it has been anything but. I started basically a year ago. It's like 11 months ago now, and got my website designed, helped design my website, got my courses all laid out on paper exactly the way that I wanted to do it. And then I hit this giant roadblock of finding filmers, man. Like, I could not find a reliable filmer to save my life. And it was soul crushing because I had all of these amazing ideas. I'm like, I just need to get it out there. It's December, or, moving through December and January. I'm like, it's ski season. I got to get this up. I got to get these people, these customers here, because I'm not doing anything else for a job right now. Like, I just got to do this. I'm getting a little bit of money from sponsors and traveling and everything, but I need to get this up, and I could not find a reliable filmer to save my life. So, number one was finding reliable partners and people who would show up with the same passion and commitment that I was showing up with. And part of that is, I've seen a couple other podcasts. There was the woman who did 50 million in a year. You guys talked about being a leader, how it's completely different being a team member than it is to be a leader. And so passion does rub off, but also, commanding respect as a leader and, being the person who's directing it. That was a really weird role for me to step up into, was holding other people accountable to the same level of integrity that I hold for myself. And it's not easy to do that because, certain people with egos, everyone has an ego, but certain people have this, they don't want to be told what to do or how to act. And so it's when you pick at someone's, especially a place where they're probably vulnerable because they probably know that they don't know how to perform quite at that same level as you. And then for you to pick at it, you have to go about it in the right ways. And, so number one, finding the right team members like that for me. And I'm back at a point where I'm pretty much solo doing everything. There was a point in the season where I set up my tripod, hit record, hiked up the hill, did what I was doing, came back down, hit record, stopped recording, and then hit record again, hiked up the hill, did more stuff, skied down. So at some point it can be all on you, but when you put that on your plate, that can also be really overwhelming, and you can kind of kick your own butt the other direction on that. So finding the right team members was number one. And then I actually ended up tearing my ACL. I found another filmer. We were filming park segments, and we had just finished filming all of the tricks for my beginner park package, my park course, and I'm coming down to hit this rail, literally landed a 540 with a grab. That was the peak trick for my beginner package. And I'm coming down, I do a 270 onto a rail, a 3/4 rotation onto a rail, and I didn't quite have enough speed, so I was 2 inches off on getting the center of my foot on the rail, and slid out on my hip. 1 in a million chance my ski gets caught in between the plywood that sits under the rail and then the metal support, and literally there was enough space for my ski to go in. Ski gets stuck in there, blow my ACL. Most violent crash I've ever been in. More violent than breaking my back. And so there's just another piece of adversity that I had to overcome. And that one, thank God I had gone through these other experiences, because I skied to the lodge on 1 foot, got down there, and there's video of me, and I'm laughing and joking about it because you can't do anything once that stuff happens. Instead of wallowing in that hole like I did from the ski racing experience, it was immediately just okay, universe, I'll take it and I'll get better. So, that was a big obstacle. And, I think that the number one thing that I want to say is that you're always going to face obstacles in entrepreneurship. You will always face obstacles. And it's the more that you can thrive in the face of those obstacles, the more that you don't ever want life to get easier. You want to get better. That's, that's the number one thing, is if you are constantly getting better, you're constantly rising to the challenge, you're constantly making yourself bigger and better to meet whatever comes around the corner, then you can walk while everything around you is up in flames and smile and know that you're going to make it through it, because deep down inside you, you have the power. Everyone has the power, and you have the power of choice. You can be grateful for the opportunity to step up, or you can get sad about it. No one wants to get sad about it. I mean, we all want to get sad about it, but no one, that's not how you get where you want to go.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more, man. It's like, Jim Rohn's, famous quote, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better, and I mean, really, when you break it down, I mean, all success is just learning how to solve your own problems. Right? If you learn to do that at a high enough level, the world sees you solving your own problems, and eventually they'll want to pay you somehow to solve their problems. And all right, so then you've got this product, right? So when it comes to selling these products, because you got a great product, which typically most, the product is the easier part to go out there and create. I know you had some challenges there, and like all my products are created on ScreenFlow. I'm just explaining things online, so it's very easy for me to spit out a product. But then it's like, hey man, now I got to market this product. I got to do it in such a way to get people, to convince them to whip out their credit card, their hard-earned money, and buy this product. And there's so many all these other components that go to it that create those challenges. So what when it comes to that, what would, now that you've been at this for a year, like what kind of advice would you give for those that want to go out there and create a product, knowing what you know now?
I would say it's almost easier to go out and find your audience and create your audience first. I would spend more time, figure out what your free item is that you're going to go out and get people's email addresses with, and start there and start building your email address, and write them emails about those small little bits of content that are easy to, like you said, that are easy to produce, and, write an email once a week so that that they know that you're being consistent, that you are, showing up, that you're reminding them that you're there. Because if you go out and get their email address and then you wait 3 months to send them an email, they've already forgot about you and found someone else to replace you, or they, you might catch them off guard. But, start off with consistency, and building an audience, I would say, is more important than building the product.
Yeah.
Because if you can go out and build your audience, and while you're building your audience, you can find products to do affiliate marketing with. You can find ways to monetize it, and to at least cover the cost of those leads. If you're doing paid traffic, to at least cover the cost of those leads and start building that audience. Once your audience is to a decent size, focus on the courses. And you can do these parallel, but I would say almost the biggest priority in becoming an online entrepreneur is having an audience that knows you, likes you, and trusts you. That is the number one biggest, most important thing about being an online entrepreneur. Luckily enough, I already had close to 10,000 followers, or I have 11,000 followers on Instagram now. I think at that point I had maybe 4,000 or 5,000. But luckily enough, I had somewhat of an audience already built. But even that, they knew me as the professional skier. As soon as I tried to start selling them on stuff and my knowledge, it actually kind of turned a lot of people off. They're like, who does this guy think he is? I just followed him because he had cool ski pictures. Now he's trying to tell me what to do. And so, building an audience, and an audience that knows that you're going to be at least recommending products, if not selling them on something.
Yeah.
Yeah, piece of advice.
Yep. No, love it, dude. So then, I know you not too long ago started your own podcast. Is the what led to the podcast? Is that kind of the same thing of being able to offer that free content out there and get your name out there and continue building that list and building those kind of virtual connections? Is that what led to the podcast ultimately?
Definitely. And, it kind of actually just like came to me in May that I should start a podcast. And I just was like throwing the idea around my head. I had this name that I wanted to do. And then in August, I had two friends that I had skied with who have achieved even higher levels of success in skiing than I have. And one of them I grew up with. The other one I skied with in Chile in 2012, and we ended up becoming pretty good friends. And so I just reached out to them and was like, hey, I'm starting a podcast. This is what it's going to be about. And, just kind of off the top of my head was just typing these messages, copy and pasted it, like switch the name out, send it out to those two people. And they both said yes. And when they both said yes, I was like, okay, well, now I actually have to do it. And, a lot of it is for developing the connections with the audience. But there's also, for me, now it's developed, like now that I have this list, I've interviewed 10 people, but like the first 5 people that I interviewed were top pros. And I had a post on Facebook where I said, there's something about, does food affect your emotions? Because something that I discovered in the last year was that, refined sugar made me depressed and angry, and so did alcohol. And that was a crazy journey that I went through. And I just was like, using the Facebook algorithm to get people's opinions, asking questions. And this pro commented on it, we were friends on Facebook, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, can we do a podcast interview? Happened to be in the same place, or I was going to be in the same place as her a couple weeks later. So we did an interview. She had recently done an interview with Forbes, and it was a little bit off topic, but I think it'll relate to people who want to start podcasts. She had recently done an interview with Forbes. I went and did my research. I, researched a ton of the interviews that she had done, and I made sure that I wasn't really repeating the questions that she had been asked. I maybe built on some of the questions that she had been asked. So in case, anyone who has followed her audience knows what she's been up to. So then I just built upon those questions. And by the end of it, we got done, and she was like, that is the best interview I've done in a long, long time. She didn't say ever, but I crushed the interview because I had done the research. And then because I did so well with that interview, I said, hey, do you know of anyone else who would be interested in being on my podcast? Like, she knew it was the first interview, and headphones are screwing up there. And she sent an email out to 15 people saying, hey, you should hop on his podcast. And these 15 top level pros that I had, some people that I had grown up seeing in the movies and stuff like that. And it ended up being this thing where, I could position myself, even though I haven't achieved quite that level of success. I haven't been in 15 or 35 ski movies like some of the people that I've interviewed, but it positioned me as an equal to all of those people. So it establishes me as an authority figure in the field, and then networks me with these people. I show up, be my best self, let my personality shine. And now I've got an Olympic gold medalist who wants to work together on my webisode series after the Olympics this year. So it's this twofold thing where not only do you get networked or build an audience with free content, but you also get networked with these people who are, it's that famous quote. I think it's a Jim Rohn one as well. You're a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. And so, I'm not necessarily spending all the time with them, but I get to be around those people, and I get to network and establish these connections. And you ask the right questions. You don't ask these surface level questions. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? You go deep into how it go, like what they're actually feeling, how their life is changed. And then all of a sudden they start to become friends with you. And so it's a double-edged sword where you get twice the bang for your buck when you're out there, especially, when you're showing up as your best self.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, dude. I've been at my podcast now for just over 2 years, and, in podcasts, because I don't accept like sponsorships on my podcast, my own products really sponsor. So it's tough to monetize or to know what the value really is of the podcast. But even if I could never make a penny from it, I still always say it's the best thing I ever did, right? Just like you said, man, you get to pick some brilliant minds on a consistent basis. You have that impact. I mean, I'm sure just like on your show, you get a lot of positive comments from those that are watching and listening, but dude, the networking, I mean, I've had 3 businesses that have come as a direct result from having guests on the show, right, those networks, and takes you to places that you never fathomed you'd be, man. I don't know why everybody doesn't start a podcast. I guess once you do it, you realize how much work it is. Like, show up for the interviews is the fun stuff. Like you said, booking the interviews, all the editing that goes behind the scenes. I mean, it's almost a full-time job. And I don't think people realize that. But, man, dude, it's one of the greatest things you can do.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. And I mean, who doesn't like having amazing conversations with amazing people?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So now that, you're on this path and creating success is a digital entrepreneur, right? Online entrepreneur. What are some of the correlations that you found that allowed you to be so successful in as a professional athlete that you've also found kind of correlate to you in business? Like, what do you feel has helped you over here that's tremendously helping you over here?
Physical activity helps your brain work. So number one, like getting up in the morning, when I get my workout in, I am so much better off as a digital entrepreneur when I get my workout in. That doesn't quite answer the question, but I think taking care of your mind, your body, and waking up and being grateful for the opportunities that you have in front of you, whether it's to help someone learn how to ski or to go skiing is amazing. But the parallels that I see are, not every day is going to be a good day. When I go out and I ski and I'm trying to learn tricks or I'm trying to send a big cliff, sometimes I eat it. And the same thing goes with the entrepreneurial journey. Sometimes you hit a road bump and you eat shit. And, it's that perseverance and that resilience that I learned, especially in ski racing and in park and big mountain, is, sometimes you get smacked and sometimes it's out of nowhere. And, there are a number of different variables that can happen to you in the entrepreneurial journey. And so the resilience of getting up after you've fallen down, the perseverance of having your eyes on a prize, and goal setting. I think goal setting is super huge. A lot of people are really good at thinking about what they want in life, but it isn't actually truly goal setting. Like goal setting, you'll go out, you'll say, okay, I want this. And then you'll go back and it's like the Tony Robbins, SMART goals, where you have to make it specific, measurable, achievable, forget what an R is. And then in a timely, you have to set it in a point where it has to be specific, and you have to be able to measure the success. And so goal setting is huge. I mean, they're really, like you said at some point in the conversation, how you show up in one area of life is how you show up in all areas of life. So, having this practice of going out and trying to achieve something in the athletic world, it draws a huge parallel. It's not the same challenges that I face when I'm on my entrepreneurial journey as I am on my skiing journey. But yeah, I think, a big thing is not every day is going to be good. Like, you can make it good. Not every day is going to turn out the way that you want it to be, I guess is what I should say. But you can still make the most out of it.
Yeah, love it. So you talked about taking care of your body and then taking care of your mind. And I think most that are probably watching, listening, understand taking care of your body, right? Doing physical activities, eating clean, and hopefully most people can grasp that concept. When it comes to taking care of your mind, can you elaborate on that and ways that you do that and have found to be successful with that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a huge problem even up till a couple weeks ago about isolationism. I live in a town of 2,000 people that not too many people share my dreams and goals as a skier, as an entrepreneur, as someone, in life. I want to go out and I want to change the world. I want to help 1 million people in the next year. As of July 15th was, when I set that goal. I want to help 1 million people. It'll be hard for me to actually put a number to that because, if I help someone and then they go out and help someone else, I'll never know about that. But, that's a goal of mine. And I was just so dead set on making it happen. Like, I have these podcast interviews that were amazing. I have these conversations that are over the internet that were amazing, but I was isolating myself from true human interaction. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are all about this, hustle, grind, go out, crush it. And that's awesome. But unless you have someone to share it with, it's like we talked about earlier, if you don't have a goal of what true happiness looks like, if it's, traveling the world with a loved one or spending time with family, starting a family, if you don't have those goals as well, then you're going to have this lopsided table. You have to have these pillars that keep you balanced. And, so for me, one thing that I needed to realize was that I was becoming depressed and, kind of a little bit bitter or angry in some ways, and wasn't taking care of my mind because I was pushing out human interaction. And interpersonal human interaction is so necessary. And I don't know if, I think I have a crazy sense of dedication and commitment because of what I've done in ski racing and everything. And, I learned how to just commit to something and put my head down and go from a young age. But then also, I'm a huge fan of meditation. I'm a huge, huge fan of meditation, and there are a million different ways to meditate. Finding one that works for you. I'm a huge fan of yoga because yoga is it's a moving meditation, for me. And, just making sure that I'm spending time going out and having fun. And in the last couple of weeks, I've figured out some ways to make work into play. And so finding some of these obstacles and making it, super fun. And I'll do random stuff. I'll get up when a good song comes on SoundCloud, and I'll just dance around my room real quick. And little things like that actually, release endorphins and release chemicals into your brain that really help you to enjoy the process. Yeah. So, I think everyone has different ways of taking care of their mind. Also, gratitude. I would say, there's a lot of hippies out there that are all about gratitude and everything. And I wholeheartedly agree that gratitude really will change your world because, that when I blew my ACL this season, instantly I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to be grateful for this. I think there's a post on Instagram, 3 days later, I'm like, I'm not sure why this is here, but I'm going to figure out how to be grateful about it. And just, having that thought process has ultimately really led me to being on this podcast because I took it, I made myself better. I called my personal trainer. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be able to work out today, but 2 days from now, we're going to start on arms and core. I don't care what's happening with my knee. And then it led me to taking a job with a life coaching company, which I was able to help people with. Then I got networked with a guy, Nicholas Bayerly, who runs a company called $1 Billion Body, ended up in his mastermind. And then, through the digital world, got introduced to you. And, without gratitude, I wouldn't have been able to make it as fun of a journey as it's been. I could have just let it crush me in the end, Yeah. And so, you can take care of your mind and direct it to the positivity in that way as well.
Yep. Love it, dude. Couldn't agree more, man. So then, to have that type of awareness to be able to take care of your mind in the ways that you said, it's because I think people operate so fast, which is good to operate fast, but we got to slow down enough to be able to pay attention to what's going on, not just getting through the day, but learning to reflect and get from it. So as part of like your daily routine, do you have a reflection process where you're analyzing these things to kind of allow you to have that awareness that you have?
Yeah, totally. I have a journal next to me, and there's just pages and pages of writing about a lot of the times it's stuff in the morning. I wake up and I write down things that I'm grateful for. If I find a limiting belief that I'm thinking, I will go in and I'll write it down. Generally, I try and tackle limiting beliefs in the morning unless it's inhibiting me in my productivity really badly. At that point, if I just am super hung up, let's say something gets brought up about my friend Jordan who passed away, and it's just really, making me struggle to focus, then, I'll generally journal about it or maybe go out and take a walk. But, I generally do try and meditate at night for at least 5 to 10 minutes and then just journal and be how did I move the needle today? Did I make better connections with friends? Did I, did I work on my body? Did I do something for my body? Did I eat healthy? Did I do that? And I just, I just try and see where I'm at emotionally. I have it's called the Athletic Journal coming out here soon. And it has a morning and an evening routine on it. And it's something that I generally try and stick to. Routines are difficult for anyone, but, it basically goes how did I succeed today? How did I fail? AKA, where did I find room for growth? How did I have fun with training today or with the entrepreneurial journey? It says training in the journal because it's for athletes. What were the qualities of my emotions today? And then it has a spot to journal. And then the very last one is what would my perfect day look like tomorrow? So that way you can start thinking to the future and start thinking about how you want to move forward and accomplish, your dreams and goals for the next day.
Yeah. Yep. Love it, dude. So then when you identify a problem, like you talked about, hey man, I found that, I got to cut out sugar. I got to cut out alcohol. I got to cut out these things. It's one thing to be able to identify the problem, but then it's another thing to be able to successfully remove those problems, like alcohol that a lot of people have abuse issues with. How do you successfully overcome those? Is it just one of those things where you just make up your mind and stop, or is it a bit of a process, or how have you been successful with cutting out those things that are prohibiting you from taking your life to the next level?
For me, it kind of came to a point where it was all or nothing. I just was it took me, I don't know, about 2 or 3 weeks to cut out alcohol. But when that was done, that was done. I haven't had alcohol in over a year now, and I don't know that I'll have alcohol ever again in my life. Maybe a glass of champagne to celebrate some big wins, if I make 7 figures, or to celebrate if and when I get married to the woman of my dreams, I might have a little glass of champagne here or there. But really, I think it's gonna come down to literally just champagne as a celebratory drink, and maybe 5 times, maybe 10 times in the rest of my life. And, the sugar thing, luckily from a young age, I had already cut out sugar before. I had cut out dairy. I had cut out these other things, and I had learned how to just make a commitment and just hold myself to it. But that doesn't mean that it's easy by any means. Does not mean that it's easy. And it does not mean that I didn't go through these internal battles of wondering like, well, what if I just cheat a little bit, or what if I just do, and for me, I know myself pretty well, and I know that I have a pretty addictive personality. So if I am going to do something, then I'm pretty much going to do it all out. And so it's either a 0 or a 1. It's either black or white. And so I really just try to understand that about myself. I'm not going to lie. I admire and respect people who are able to keep a level of moderation in their life that allows them to do things in moderation, and allows them to hold those things at a level where it doesn't control their life. I am just an all or nothing person. Yeah. So that's how I work, and I'll just make a decision and go for it. And that's not how everyone works. There is obviously a weaning process in some situations. But oftentimes I would rather, instead of draw something out for weeks or months or whatever, I'd rather just suffer real bad for a couple days and then be like, okay, I'm over it, Yeah. And I think it's really easy to make excuses or to just kind of drag your feet through some of those goals or some of those big changing processes, because as human creatures, we just love comfort so much. And so if we have to change, we kind of just revert back to this 4-year-old mentality and throw a little tantrum sometimes. At least that's how I've been before. But really, once you throw that tantrum, you pick your pants up, you pull yourself together, and you're like, tighten your belt, and you're like, let's go. I'm gonna do it. And once you make that commitment, it's generally a lot easier than you think it's gonna be. And the more that you condition yourself to thrive in adversity and to just constantly, now I search out those challenges in my life, and I'm like, okay, how can I do this? So I did the ketogenic diet for a while. That was crazy, dude. Pretty much eating just solid fat for a couple months. And I did it a lot just to test my brain and to test myself and be like, can you do it? Can you step up and do it? And was it easy? No. But in the end, am I a better person for it? Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the times now it's just okay, how can I challenge myself? How can I challenge my body? How can I challenge my mind? And, it's kind of like the whole Stoic philosophy, just let's see how much torture you can endure and then push yourself even harder.
Yep. Yeah, no, I love it. One of my mentors, Darren Hardy, who is the publisher of Success Magazine and very successful entrepreneur, every 90 days in his life, he gives up something he loves. Maybe it's coffee for the next 90 days, or maybe it's ice cream for the next 90 days, or and not even with the intent of I'm cutting these out for the rest of my life, but just so he knows fully that nothing has control over him and his mind, right? There's no substance. And I think there's power to that, man. You're able to flex those different muscles, and it creates an internal level of self-confidence that you have, that it's like, fuck, dude, I can do anything that I put my mind to. Right. And I think it can be massive, dude. Yeah, actually right above the computer here, I've got this saying. It says an easy life equals hard choices and a hard life equals easy choices, right? And you talked about comfort. So many people seeking comfort. Yeah. Because they don't want to, they don't want to create or go take those hard decisions, hard choices. But that creates a very long-term difficult life, right? Nothing good comes out of seeking comfort, right? So, so if the Scott today, knowing everything you know now today, could go back to the Scott at the time where you first went down the dark path, like when you first discovered that your racing career was over, or at least thought it was over at that point. If you knowing everything you know now today, if you could go back and speak to the Scott in that moment, and give yourself 2 pieces of advice that you feel would have just dramatically helped you and fast forwarded this path to success that you've created, what would those 2 pieces of advice look like?
Go back to skiing now because it's your passion. And you are a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time around, because I think at that point I was spending time around a lot of the wrong people. And I was just kind of like letting my situations dictate my friend group instead of dictating, putting myself in situations where my friend group was going to be lifting me up. And I think that those would be the 2, but also, I don't know now that I'm at the place that I am now. I don't know that I would trade it for going through it faster, because, now that I want to be more of a public speaker, now that I'm becoming more of a public speaker, now I have so many other places where I can relate to people and where I can, just crazy stories that, if I speak on stage for 30 minutes and I go through loss of friends, drug addiction, depression, all of these different things, then I can just relate to such a bigger crowd. And now it's awesome. At the time, it was some of the worst situations I've ever been in. I can't even believe that I put myself there. But at the same point, I don't think I would trade it now, because it does give me the experience. It gives me the knowledge to know that I can go through literally anything almost at this point and become better from it. And, I'm sure the universe sometime in the next 10 years will be like, hey, what about this? Yeah. But I mean, it does every day. But I would say, you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time around, and get your ass back on the hill, man.
Yeah, love it, dude. So those that are watching and listening, man, if they want to go check out your podcast, check out maybe your academy, where's the best place to do that? Where's the best place to learn more about you, follow you, and check some of the cool shit out that you got going on?
I am on Facebook a lot. I love Facebook for the network marketing, or the networking about it. Not network marketing. I hate MLMs. For the networking, and academyofskiing.com, and the podcast hasn't quite launched yet. I'm launching it with, I think, probably about 5 episodes in the first week, just to try and kind of drop a bomb on the industry and get new and noteworthy. But it's going to be called The Athletic Stance, A Skier's Perspective, and A Skier's Perspective as the subtitle. And that will be launching either December 1st or January 1st. It kind of just depends on how quickly I can get everything edited down at this point. And then at Scot Chrisman on Instagram. So Facebook, Instagram, and the website, www.academyofskiing.com.
Yep, badass. Love it, dude. So those that are here watching and listening to this podcast, they're here because they want to go out there and create an amazing life for themselves, right? So with that being said, man, do you have any last maybe words of advice or inspiration that you'd like to leave them with so they can do exactly that?
Yeah, man. You only live once. YOLO is, a term that people use to degrade their life. And they're like, I'm at a party and someone pulls out some blow and YOLO, I'm going to do it. It's like, no, actually, you only live once. You have one now. You have the moment now to make an impact. So what are you going to do with it right now to make the biggest impact, to make the most out of your life? You are so lucky to be alive. In this day and age, with the technology that we have, with everything, you have no excuse to go out and live it to the fullest. You don't need to be the next Tony Robbins. You don't need to be the next Gary Vaynerchuk, but you can make the most out of your experiences. You can go out, appreciate life to the fullest, and you never know when your life could be snuffed out. You never know when that drunk driver is going to run the red light and take you out. So don't take any moment for granted, and go live it up right now.
Yeah, love it, man. Powerful words. And those that are watching and listening, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation truly is just a start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking action on that information that creates the power for you to go out there and create the life that you know you want and deserve. And Scott shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys today. Take something that you learned, take immediate action on it. So again, you can create that life you know you want and deserve. And Scott, man, I know you're a busy guy. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Dude, it's been awesome. Thank you for hosting me. I'm really grateful to have been on the show and to have spent time connecting with you. And, I hope that we can continue to work together in some facet. Like you said, you've developed businesses off the connections. So let's just keep in touch, see how we can help each other out and, build a community and just crush life together, man.
That's it. 100%, my friend. All you guys that are watching and listening, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.